hope you're all well. Happy Sunday. I hope you all had a wonderful week. So today we're going to practice. I knew it was a day to practice when I woke up, and I had nothing other to say than it's time to practice together things that we have learned. And so we're going to hop to it. It's winter, and it's time to really take the time as the world around us slows down, and we're have the time and opportunity to turn inwards and try to connect with our truer selves and to connect with God. The new year is almost here, and it's a good time to reflect. So in the prayers I've been teaching and the practices, there's no reflection, because we're working to still our mind and to connect energetically. In the future, I'll teach some practices on reflection, but right now we're learning on how to still our minds. But by stilling and making our minds quiet, after we finish our practices, we'll find that we're able to see things clearer, which would permit us to better reflect on our lives and to sort of see where we'd like to go in the new year. By sort of quieting the random thoughts, connecting with our true selves, we have the opportunity to gain a better perspective, a truer perspective on how we would like to guide ourselves, in what direction we would like to go, things we wish to change, things we would like to improve, what we would like to do, what our plans are. It's important to have an idea of what we want to do or how we want to go about things, because then we kind of know how to direct our lives and where to put our emphasis and time. So why don't we stretch? But for our practice, we're going to learn to work together on doing our practice, on stilling the mind, hopefully work with some of the mantras of God's name, connecting with that frequency, opening to it, and learning how to deepen in it. So with time, one can just drop into it, into that flow, and be able to rest there with no effort. Right? So it's important to stretch. Sometimes we get up early in the morning and we have little aches and pains, especially as we grow a little older. So I pop 2 Tylenol and put a little arnica on my neck. Feel free to do what you need to do. One needs to be comfortable, because where there's tension or pain, one's attention goes to that spot. And we're learning to center in our inner alignment, and we don't wish to be pulled off with our intention. So if you need extra pillows, or where you normally sit is not comfortable, then you could move to a chair, you could change to a different position. This is your practice. This is on what works for you today, this morning, December 29th. The techniques are meant to work for us. That's why I offer so many of them. They're individual, and they're individual to how you feel at that moment and what you feel you need. More spaciousness, more structure. The Shema at the beginning, maybe a little song in the middle, at the beginning or at the end. You want a more formal, devout practice, or you want one that's more spacious and open. Today we're going for spacious and open, because that's the skill that we most need to cultivate in the speed of our lives, the challenges, the difficulties, the need to step up in difficult situations because people rely on you, or there's things that really need to go in a certain way. This provides the calm in the storm, the ability to see clearly what needs to be done, and to hold true to that vision. Yes? So we're going to stretch. So important to stretch the legs, and I promise this week, as my schedule has freed up, I will put up pictures on the website on stretching exercises that I have found that have been really good for me, and I will spend some time finding really good ones and make it a complete web page. Okay? So legs stretched in front of you, heels sort of up, feet up, and then I'm going to readjust this microphone a little bit. Okay. Try to touch the toes as best as you can. I put my hands on the leg bone and try to move myself forward. This has proven to be one of the most challenging stretches for me and my body specifically. We all tend to excel at certain stretches more than others, but you work on it. Right? At times I have no problems with this, and then if I don't do it regularly, it becomes quickly problematic. So you kind of stretch a little bit, you feel a little bit of a burn. This is where you work with the breath. So where you have the burn, I'm now teaching a technique. So where you feel the burn, right now it's probably in the upper leg on the side against the floor. You, with the mouth open, sort of pretend you're breathing in from the place that's tight, as if there's a little mouth there. You're still breathing it in from your mouth, but you envision, we'll work on this another day because we're not going to pray today, because I find myself launching into a somatic teaching on how to work with the body, and I'm resisting the urge of going there, because that's not our focus today. I'll get more into this another day. It's a very powerful practice on how to work with our body and tension and bringing healing to certain spots. We're going to breathe in through our mouth, and you're going to pretend that the oxygen, the air, is coming in from the outside of the body, but through the area where the tension is. Air, prana, energy is where you focus. If you focus that relaxation that comes in from the inhale, it actually moves energy through your leg and allows you to relax that area with the exhale. Yes, it works. So focus that area, and you're going to pretend the air is coming in through that area, and then you're going to exhale as if you're exhaling out through that area. So you're not putting too much tension in that spot, but you're feeling that spot being kind of tense. So we're going to breathe in, hold, try to relax that spot, and exhale. Breathe in through that area. Feel the tension be heightened in that area as the inhale, and then exhale. And as you exhale, you kind of invite that energy to leave through your body. So when I exhaled, I felt the energy actually move through my legs and out through the soles of my feet. There are 2 chakra points, one in the sole of each feet, and energy can leave through there. And as you become more open in your body and energy moves better, you'll be able to feel the chakra points. Yes, it's real, just trust me. And you could be able to feel that flow of energy. So check your legs. Doesn't it feel more supple? With practice, you'll feel greater and greater changes with that. Okay? So let's work on touching our feet to the extent you can. I feel less tension where it was blocked, and some people will find that they're able to reach further. But don't hurt yourself. So for about a minute or so, why don't you try that technique? When you do it, you don't want to be in full tension, but maybe 70%, 80% of it. Do the breathing in, and then at the breathing out, you relax the tension. And see if that causes your leg to sort of release the tension, that you're able to reach a little further. Now, we're not trying to... The point of this is to loosen the tension to be able to stretch. Our body all is one organism. The foot, what happens in the foot affects your hand, affects your chest, affects your mind. It's all linked. So what we're working is reducing the tension in the legs, which permit a better energy flow in our body, greater relaxation, which causes the mind to calm down, because overall there's less tension, there's more space. It's like the constriction makes the battery in our body tighter. By relaxing, our battery kind of flops out a little bit. And therefore, whatever tension energy we're holding in our body sort of flops out, opens up, and there is more space. Does that make sense? This is why stretching and relaxation and working with our body, which is a whole series of teachings, which I have not really gone into yet, which clearly is coming up, and doing a winter practice time is a good time to teaching, and I guess it's come up. We'll work on it over the next couple months, I think. Well, see, there we are. Something new to work with. So do the stretch. Pretend you're breathing in through the area that's tense. You hold it, feel the tension, and you exhale the tension. But you're sort of asking the release from the area that's tight. Yes? And it's all working through the mouth. You inhale through the mouth, you exhale, you invite the tension to go with the exhale. A little bit of like the pranayama we do, yes? Except it's focused in the area where the tension is found. All right. So why don't you do it for about maybe 30 seconds, 40 seconds in the leg at your own pace. You don't strain, don't pull anything. That defeats the whole purpose. And it's not so much how far you can go to the foot. There's no objective here. Some people may not even get past the upper leg, part of the leg. That is fine. Wherever you feel the tension, don't over push it, but you breathe where you feel it. Invite some relaxation, exhale the tension, and then see if there's a little more give. If not, you just do it exactly where you are. You're not overstretching, but you're teaching your body how to relax. Right? Let's do that. Nice and easy. When you inhale, you could hold the breath a little bit, sort of heightening that tension. Your focus is on the leg or where the tightness feels, and then you let it go. This is also a form of meditation because you've placed your awareness at a certain focal point, in this case, the tension in the legs. And notice there's really no thoughts in your mind. Once you learn the technique, you don't need to think about what you're doing, you're just doing it. And your awareness is in your leg, and the more awareness you have in the tense area, the greater the potential of having the release, because your mind is telling that part of the body, because your intention is to release with the exhale. Energetically, your mind, the mechanics and sort of how your mind works, will tell that part of your body to relax and release. As well as the breath work with the exhale, with your awareness at the tension, the exhale will also invite the tightness, the stuck energy, the inflexibility to also release. That's the nature of pranayamas. Right? So we're learning to work with our minds in some extent, and working with our minds where it's just normally more of a subconscious realm, the automated functions of our minds. Because we're telling our minds to work with the nerves and the muscles to have a release. And now we're learning on how our conscious mind can work and direct more autonomous aspects of our mind, which we normally cannot control. Yes? One can control body heat. One can control one's heart rate. There's a lot of things we can develop to learn to control when we develop the discipline, the practice, and the stillness of the mind, which permits focus. So let's take the left foot out, and the right foot, this is one of my favorite ones, tucked in with the heel against the... I'm trying to find proper words for things, sort of the heel against the genital area and the bottom of the foot up against the thigh, yes? And the left foot is out, right? So same thing, except this way you're reaching with both hands. This is very much junior high school and high school stretching exercises from PE class, okay? They work. Or yoga class, yes? So you're going to reach out a little further with the left hand, closer to the front, to the foot, and the right hand sort of is in behind. But the focus is a lot of the stretch with the left hand forward. Therefore, the left shoulder is closer to the foot, yes? And now try to reach with the toe, towards the toe. So the hand is higher up. And you feel a different kind of stretch, yes? Now you're just focusing at one foot at a time. I have the most stretch ability with this exercise. I do not as much have access with both feet out. Yeah? So sometimes I start with this, do all my stretches, and then finish with both feet out, because that warm-up has permitted me to have, it's just not the best one for me to lead with. The importance is finding the exercise that work for you, that permit the flexibility you need to have. When we pray, we do it normally seated when we do our practice, yes? So it's all about the legs. So it's important not to feel tension in our legs that distract us from our prayer. And it's also important for the energy to flow. And like I also mentioned, all our karma, tension, and things from our lives, and energy and tension holds memories. And memories causes tension. And we're trying to break that loop, as well as I believe in our bones is held all those memory imprints, particularly, in the leg. So by causing greater relaxation, we're able to touch in on things we're holding and permit them to release by creating an environment of like a flow of a river that's not stuck with little beaver dams all over the place and little woods and trees that's fallen in that cause energy to pool, right, and be stuck. For people who are not native speakers, for energy to pool, it means it sort of backs up into like a miniature little lake, right? But it's not a lake, it's a really small area right before a dam in a small river, a small stream, where it's a little rounder because there's a constriction, there's a block. So river can't flow freely in a straight line. But it sort of gets blocked and it's held there. And that blocks energy from flowing in our bodies. Because we have to work with our bodies. Prayer and meditation is not just in the mind. It's not just a thought. It has to bring in our entire body. Because our body is part of our spiritual vehicle, and it affects our mind, and it affects our emotions, and honestly, it affects our spiritual power. Right? So we're stretching here, feel tension, yes? Right now my left hand is on my shin, on the bone. I don't feel like going for the toe today. Feel it. Now do the breathing exercise. Inhale through the mouth and put your focus where the tension is, and just imagine the air you're breathing in is entering your body from the area where the tension is, okay? So inhale. Hold. It makes the tension worse, doesn't it? Interesting, right? Now exhale. And relax that area. It's heightened because you put your awareness there. See, I'm still feeling the energy relax, and my leg is shifting because of the relaxation, and that just happened automatically with the practice. So we do it again. We're not holding too long, right? It's not a real pranayama. It's just mainly inviting, feeling the tension, and relaxing it. So one more time. That's it. So we're going to go faster so we get to our prayer. So right leg out, left leg up against the calf, heel up against the sort of private area, okay? The foot is pointed to the sky. The tip of the foot is not forward. Yes, so it's straight up. Do the stretch. Nice and easy. We don't want to pull anything. And then inhale. Hold it. Relax. Best you can. Exhale. Then see if you can do a deeper stretch. Inhale. Invite the foot to relax. Exhale. The foot can change position as it relaxes. You're not longer holding a form. The foot could move to the side as you relax. We're now allowing the foot to do whatever it wishes, and the leg could move a little bit. It really doesn't matter because we're asking it to relax, and it will relax in the way it wants. The form is good at the beginning to create the tension and see where we are in the proper sort of position. But afterwards, when we relax, the foot, like my foot and my legs, sort of shifted to the right, especially the foot, and my leg just moved over to the right. But that's relaxation, people, and that's what we want. So last time, reach further. I'm able to reach much further this time. Hold it. Inhale. Invite relaxation if you can. Exhale. And as you exhale, you could sort of move your awareness sort of where the tension is in the thigh area, on the bottom of the thigh, and you could just envision the breath and moving your awareness. You could allow your awareness to move up past your knee and out your foot. That's actually the pathway that the energy will go, because the energy will leave through the nearest chakra, especially in the leg, and that's the foot. So you could put your awareness moving it from your knee to your foot and out, which invites the energy where it's stuck in the tightness in that direction. So you're kind of like guiding it where it needs to go. Yes? And energy focuses where your awareness is. And especially if you're not used to these exercises, it will help increase the flow and reduce blocks in your body so the energy could start flowing naturally this way. Okay? So sometimes when I do that, I do another stretch on the left foot, and then we're going to quickly, so the other exercises I just really want to show online. I don't want to spend too much time. So why don't people stand up and do whatever exercises that you know of when standing up to do the stretching of the legs, okay? Let's spend 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and do the exercises that you know on how to stretch the legs so they become more supple and we're less rigid first thing in the morning. And do the breathing exercises. So just pick 1 or 2, don't rush, and that way when we sit back down, we'll be good. And then let's spend 4 minutes, okay? And then just try to stretch easily the upper body a little bit. You know, I put my hand against a wall and then just kind of move my body and have my hand make the tension. And that helps stretch the pec area and the upper body and the upper arms. And then we sit back down and then be in your normal prayer position and see the difference. And then you will understand why we spent some time this morning on doing this. And I would like to suggest that you incorporate something like this into your prayer practice when it's, a little longer prayer practice, not a 3-4 minute quickie, but 20-30 minute practice, or 15, or even if it's a quick practice, you just spend 20 seconds quickly stretching out the leg and the upper body, and Okay, so let's do it for 4 minutes. Then sit back down. See how your body feels. Place your mind in your area of focus and see how much calmer your mind is without even using a technique for the mind. Yes? And today you could pray in front of your altar, or if you have a beautiful thing to look out from a window, you can pray, and do your practice in front of a nice scenery, or if you're outdoors, right? It's a practice inward. So the shrine is nice with a religious devotional material, but we're able to pray and bring God into our prayer and commune with God anywhere we are. Yes? So let's stretch. I'm looking at the clock. 7:38. We will reconvene and we will begin our practice. Okay. So people who are still stretching, kind of work on finishing up. And sit down and just put your awareness on your body and see how you feel. Are you able to feel the movement of the energy in your body? It could feel like a little tingly sensation. Are you actually able to feel like a flow, a movement? So Maybe take a breath or two. Inhale, exhale. Silence your mind. Release any thoughts. Like the exhale, just release. Let go. And put your awareness in your body and observe without any characterization. Just be open and observe what's going on. So, is there, I think it's easiest for me to show what's going on with me as opposed to giving open-ended questions. So I feel, first thing, all the tightness I woke up with is gone. My legs don't hurt when I'm in my seated position like they were because they were too tight. Yeah. And I feel the flow of energy. It's tingly, but I actually feel it because I've done a lot of these practices and other things. Flow through my legs, through my upper body, and down the right side. Body leaves to the upper body on the right. I actually find it leaving through my right leg as well, though I've heard it's flipped when it goes to the legs. I'm going to need to do more research. But as for me, I feel energy leave my body through the right hand and the right foot. And I feel the flow. And I'm aligned and centered. And my brain is much more still. And my body feels like it's a little hollow. There's less tension and therefore it feels more open. A more open body leads to a more open mind, which leads to a stiller mind, which allows us to go deeper past our mind, all those dirty layers in our cathedral, to the purer, alive, whole, clean, the way we were built layer. Everything else kind of keeps us on the surface, and this allows us to move into the deeper layers of ourselves, into the stillness that's beneath the waves of movement, of thoughts, of tension that keeps the movement and the locked in. When we learn to still the waves, or move beneath the waves without needing to still them, it's a little more, it's calm like the ocean. There could be a massive storm on the surface, but once you move beneath the waves, you could feel the turbulence. But when you go deep enough, it's calm and still, even though there's a big storm on the surface. And that could be our anchor as we go through life. We are the calm in the argument. We are the calm in the catastrophe. We could be the calm in life or death situations. We could be the calm in medical crises. Because whatever whirlwind is going on of energy, tension, fear in the room outside of us, the situation, that doesn't mean that needs to be the situation within us, in our minds, in our thoughts, in our energies. And by learning to pray and practice and these stillness, openness techniques, we develop the capacity to be able to do that. We're training, like learning how to ride a bike. Yes, these are skills that honestly we should have been taught since the age of 3 or 4 and grown with as we grow older. And I'm sure there must have been some civilizations in the past that were more aligned and more spiritual that did that, because this is naturally how we should be and how we should function. So just put your mind, think now where you were before and where you are now, and when you did your sort of assessment, and then you see the benefit of this practice and how it may work even if you aren't going to pray. If you know you're going to have a challenging day, you just take a couple minutes in the morning and do your stretch before you walk out of your house. So you have that openness and movement of energy and less rigidity. Less rigidity in the body, less rigidity in the mind. Less rigidity in the mind, less rigidity in the body. Do you see the feedback loop? So we should always try to be on the positive side of the feedback loop. Less rigidity, relaxation. Relaxation brings more relaxation. Not tension brings more tension, which brings more tension. Yes? A more calm and enjoyable and happy life, a more calm and enjoyable body, thoughts, energy, which permits us to maintain a more calm and enjoyable life because we have the resources in the space, because our battery is open and spacious and less full than when aggression and stress comes in. It does, it's the real world, things happen. We have the space to address it and be with it without it causing us to disturb us and alter our overall contentment and openness, because we're not so full that it causes us to overflow and be triggered. We're able to accommodate it, address it, release it, without it adding to our battery or causing us to lose that space we've been cultivating, because we've developed the skills to work with it. See, so everything we're learning here has real-world applications, because our inner selves, our inner cathedral, is open and spacious and full of light. That's all it knows. It doesn't need to have that accumulation of dirt and grime and darkness. If we have the techniques to make sure it doesn't accumulate on the stone, right? Here we go. Proper ventilation, right? So all of that leaves the building. Filters, so it doesn't circulate and land on the stone. Filters. Stretching, prayer, the names of God, exercise, knowing how to work with it, issues in our lives, therefore it doesn't accumulate. Just like how we know how to deal with dust in buildings, the techniques and the ways to do that, We learn how to work with aggression, tension, PTSD, the things that are in our body, in our minds, on how to make sure they don't stay, and if they're there, how to move them out. These are just all techniques, and as we learn, we deepen, because the stillness causes us to resonate with what's at our core. And what is at our core is the Shekinah of Yahweh, our souls. See? So it's all about relaxing into our true selves. We don't need to reach out of ourselves. We're learning to let go of everything we're holding and everything that holds us back. And honestly, aren't we tired of holding to all that, SHIT, all that pain, all that tension, which can cause illness and hypertension and cancers and heart disease and all that stuff, right? Aren't we tired of feeling stuck, right? All that is a holding. Aren't we tired of feeling disconnected from God? We go to temple or church and we just feel we can't connect, right? There's a block. We're like, why can't I become, more like a prophet or a saint, or be able to better keep the commandments or rules of ethics? Why do I always do that? That's just so wrong. Why do I always yell at my wife or at my child? Why aren't I more patient? Those things come with too much energy and a heightened stress in oneself. One relaxes that. One has the room to accommodate understanding, empathy, compassion, which heals relationships and helps find constructive solutions, not actions which lock in the problem, which allows the tension to leave, energy drains our body, and we know greater levels of openness and capacity and spiritual power, because we're able to better connect with the great resources and blessings that live within ourselves. And it literally comes from relaxing, letting it go. There's nothing to figure out. There's nothing to resolve intellectually. It's in the past. Ultimately, you open the doors of your house. You open the windows of your house. You open the chimney wide open, and you just let it ventilate out. What happened, the circumstances, how you feel about it, how the other person feels about it, the trauma of the cancer, the pain involved. They're all thoughts. They're all concepts. You don't need to hold on to them. You don't need to necessarily process them, though therapy is very helpful on gaining enough process that ultimately you're able to let it go. And at some point, you've processed yourself enough through therapy, if you need it, that you're able to just let it go. Even if it's a new issue, you just have developed the capacity to release. You're releasing the charge in your battery. Your life becomes about release, 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 release. To the point, 8th gear, 7th gear, yes, which is I love shifting it into those upper gears. You can live your life with not a single thought from your mind. Because you're living your life with your consciousness, your soul, that divine spark that animates you. That's what's driving you. Your awareness. The stillness that sees, with a capital S, that knows, with a capital K, that acts, speaks, animates, does everything from a place of wisdom, capital W. It is clear, it is conscious, it can be clairvoyant at times, and it lives in the stillness of openness and space that is peace and calm, because it's the emanation of those qualities that live in every single one of us that's able to openly flow through us, because our minds have become still, our bodies have a flow of energy, and we've relaxed and dropped into that place. We don't grasp that place. That causes that's a tension, it's a thought, it's a desire that blocks it. We simply let go, relax, open, and then one day you have that oh my God moment, because you're now looking through your eyes in a whole different way, and you're like, oh my God, what is this? And then you'll be like, oh, H.P. Shalom mentioned something like this. Oh my God, is it that space he was talking about? Because I can describe it all the way I can, but once you experience it, I bet you your eyes are going to get really big, and you're going to have that oh my God moment. And then you're like, oh, and you're going to be able to feel profound peace. And you're going to say, oh my God, thank you. Oh my God. And you're going to feel all that energy just start emanating out. Tension you didn't even know you had. And it's just, you feel it radiate out. And you'll be like, oh my God. And you'll just slump down and feel the calm and a release. So, getting back to our practice, when we meditate now and do our prayer, with around the 15-minute mark to 17-minute mark, you can find that release every time. The mind cannot hold itself in stillness. It has to be in movement, our minds. If with discipline we lean to maintain our awareness, and not allow our minds to carry us into a thought, into the past, into the future, into a daydream, but we are meant to remain present by the use of the name of God, by learning to relax any tension that we feel in our bodies. When we feel a thought come up in our minds, we breathe out and we allow the thought to leave through the out breath. Just whew. We feel ourselves carried by a thought. A thought lives in tension. A thought has energy. If we exhale the energy and relax our body and mind to the out breath, the thought will magically go away. Yes, these are techniques I'm giving you, like a whole boat lift techniques. So please replay during the week. There's a lot here that I'm putting in at once. We learn to come back to the object of our meditation, which is why an altar is important, because you have the blessings of the sacred syllables, because all of this is returning to God, right? The inner cathedral, inner true us, yes? So we relax. The mind cannot handle this. It lives in motion. It will stop moving. it'll naturally become still without an effort. And you're going to find a great release. Because the tension cannot hold itself in stillness. It needs the movement to maintain itself. In the stillness, it will naturally release, and you'll be like, oh my God. And you will literally feel the energy. When I meditate, pray for an extended period of time, and especially when I work in the stillness, couple mantras, still, the mind starts working again, couple mantras. Or next time the mind or the thoughts start moving again, I work on the exhale, right? So I try to stay present. Often I feel the release and my body just moves, the chest and upper body just moves forward and just like relief. And then it's very easy to do 25 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours with stretches, of course, in between. Why? Because the mind sort of had its, lack of a better word, breaking point at number 15 to 18 minutes. And then it just can't put itself back together if you keep with the techniques. There's an openness. You'll find the tension starting to build maybe after 3 minutes or after 8 or after 13. And sometimes you need to stop there. But with practice, and it doesn't take that long, you're able to work through it and continue it. And as it hits its sort of wall where the mind can't hold it together, you'll feel that tension, and it might be hard to be in that place. But if you feel like this is the right time to kind of hold it, you will find that the mind will just suddenly let go. It's like the spaceship in Star Trek. It hits that nebula with all that force, and they're going through it, and the ship is shaking. Computers are exploding, people are getting thrown, everybody's getting shaken like a bad earthquake, right? And then suddenly they're through. Well, in a way, that's what we're doing. But, over a week or two, work with it. The meditation will naturally go from 8 minutes to 10 to 12. You'll be able to hold it longer. And then you're going to hit that sweet spot where let's go. And then you're connecting with that inner place within you of greater stillness. And now you're starting to learn to resonate with the true aspect of yourself that's beyond the mind. And it doesn't take a long time to be able to do this technique and feel that place. Maybe 2-3 weeks of extending your time in meditation and prayer. Cultivating the stillness. This is when we cultivate. It's not pure mantra practice, because that's complete movement. You could use a couple mantras to re-still the mind when you find yourself ungrounded. Or you use the breath techniques, but it's always coming up and just staring or looking at the object of your meditation, which could be a tree or sacred stuff, and just being present there. You don't get pulled by a thought, and if you feel you have, you just bring your mind back to the object of meditation. So one of my teachers, one of my masters, which I love dearly, very sweet man, I really was extremely sad when he passed. He said the object of meditation is not when you're able to maintain your focus, then you're saying you're meditating. That's not what it is. Meditation is when you notice that your mind, that your thoughts, that your awareness, when you notice that your awareness, you've lost your focus because your awareness has been lost to a thought, and now you're thinking and you're no longer present. The act of meditation is when you bring your awareness and your focus and your mind back to the object of meditation. So even when we're lost in the thought and we've lost our focus, we're still meditating, because when we notice it, a couple minutes, 30 seconds, 10 minutes later, 20 minutes later, Yeah, when you're starting, sometimes you're gone for a while. When you notice it, you bring your mind back. And that's meditation. Why is it important for people of prayer to learn this technique? Because it allows us to be present. As we learn to do it, it creates us an access to the still place within us. So we can deepen it by becoming a quite capable meditator, which is a wonderful, beautiful practice, let me tell you, and very healing to the energy, your mind. I used to have chronic migraines. I do not have migraines anymore, all because of this. Migraines are caused by stress and tension, mind you. But let me tell you the space. When you get to that still space at 18, 20 minutes, 16 minutes, for me it happens anywhere between 16 and 18 minutes when I'm not doing it as often. Now I can just be there in half of 1 second, but I've done it in a while. It's been a while, and my body is clear, and I've done it for a lot of practice. But before it took, a good amount of time. I don't think 17 minutes is necessarily a good amount of time. But when you're in that open space and the mind is still, that is such a powerful place to pray from. That is a powerful place to connect with the Shekinah of God. That's a powerful place to say mantras from and feel the energy of the mantra from the place of stillness, because there's not all those competing energies there. Your mind has flopped open, and it is sort of a flopping open, which you'll discover as you get to that point. You've gone into that cathedral within, and it's a very powerful place to relate to God and His energy, because you're still, you're open, you're that radio telescope that's beyond the storms, beyond the lightning, beyond the movement of wind. You become that big radio telescope, that big dish on the highest mountains on the planet that's not influenced from the energies of the planet, so it can receive from the stars without disturbance. From that place in our lives, as we learn to cultivate it, we're able to act more skillfully with greater wisdom. We don't have knee-jerk reactions. We don't deal with the energy through anger, as we say, exit through anger, a technical term or expression. That doesn't mean we react to aggression with aggression. We can see the whole situation. We can see that the person's not actually angry about the event or even us, just a very happy, angry person. Or we see the real issue of what they're angry about. Or we see a smart way, which we wouldn't otherwise know, on how to diffuse the situation. It's because we're calm. And we're living through our innate awareness. And in that calmness, in that situation, we're able to say a mantra of God if we choose to. And since we've resonated with that divine frequency, then we've just literally plugged in that situation. And our prayers in the name of God said within us, the person can't hear it, could actually affect his energy and calm him. Oh, bless our words so they have more effect. Oh, bring in God's blessing to give us the wisdom on what to say or not do, or just walk away from the situation. Or make up an excuse, sorry, I can't speak right now, I have a meeting in literally 20 seconds, or I'm already 5 minutes late. Because that could be skillful at times. Better than to do that than have a really bad argument that impacts a relationship for the next couple weeks or years. or create a bad cycle, because you have the wisdom to walk away and you find an excuse that doesn't trigger the person further. So do we see how that helps us? So we're able to work with greater ethics and morality. We're able to live as a person of God, not adding to all the damage in our planet, but at least being able to work with it in a way that might heal it, or at the very least allow us to be a little bit separated from it. And we become more God's children. We're not so much caught up in the ways of the world. We have a certain separation. And from that place of a little cushion from it, because we're living from our center, we can repair ourselves, repair our families, and do things to help repair the situation globally. And the basis of it is Yahweh. The basis of it is our practice. The basis of it is learning to relax and heal our energy in our bodies so it flows, so our minds calm down and eventually become still, so we can understand that who we are is not our minds. Who we are is really our consciousness, which is really our souls, that eternal part within us that's been buried. And we can truly live from that place. So we're going to practice together now. You've now received the full teachings in a way. It's complete. I mean, it's really the complete layout. And one discovers it as one proceeds along the road. It begins unlocking and opening. So we're going to light the light in our altars. If you're in front of your altars, if you're in front of a, outdoors or someplace, that's fine. You just find your alignment. So when we raise the incense, we offer it to God. So if you're out in nature, you just summon God to be in your practice and in your prayer. So even we're working with stillness and openness to learn to calm our minds and still our bodies, because we called to God at the beginning, then everything, that practice is all part of a prayer. Even though we might not be thinking of God consciously or saying a mantra of God, it's still part of it because we called in God at the beginning. Yes? And this is how we go about going closer to Him. So, do you understand? So, it's all part of the prayer. So it's sort of different than a normal prayer where we have a certain order or recitation of words and it's sort of fixed and we all read from a text or we memorize it. That's a form of prayer. But all of this becomes a prayer because we're learning to relate to God in a deeper way. Even if we're doing more of a formal meditation aspect. I learned to meditate more hardcore. I didn't learn to do mantras until year 5, 6, or 7. Okay? It's a more traditional way of learning. And it works with the mind, but it's faster if you bring in mantras towards the beginning. But you got to remember to bring in that space. And in the stillness, one can find God. In the stillness, there is God. There's also God in the movement, but that takes more time to discover. But there's definitely God in the stillness. So we offer up our incense, we light our candles to invite God's Shekinah, God's presence in our space, to help us get closer to Him, to help us achieve these techniques. So we offer up. Sometimes I like smelling the incense. It really puts me in a prayerful space. All right. Get into our seated position. Make sure we're aligned. I need to stretch out my legs just a little bit before I get into my prayer meditation posture. Okay, maybe you should just give it a quick stretch. Then you pop in. Perfect. My body and back no longer hurts. Shalom and amen to that. So, you're going to make it your own. I have taught plenty of techniques. More somatic techniques will be taught in the future. But you need to make this practice your own and what works for you. So, if you're not certain, just go back to some of my previous teachings and see what I've guided. And you need to do what you feel you ought to do for that practice. Or, just pick something. I don't want people to shift too often. You need to learn. So find one you think is good, and then once you find one that's like, oh, this is good for me, you need to deepen into it. What I like people to find by the end of this winter period is to be able to find that stillness within themselves. Okay? It's important. So lay back and relax, hands in the proper posture, and we're going to pray and meditate together for about 20 minutes. And I'm not going to say anything anymore. So whether you want to use the pranayamas or not, that's up to you. Whether you just want to do pure meditation where you try to keep your eyes in one place and just focus on that spot, light focus, and any tension or thoughts you release to the exhale. Or you find yourself drifting away and you want to say the mantra of God, and that brings you back as well. Because then your awareness is in the recitation of the name. Your mind cannot be in two places fully at the same time. So if you put all your awareness in saying the name, the thought magically goes away. And we learn not to follow our thoughts. No matter how important they may seem, during this time we don't. Now, sometimes, especially at the beginning, we think something is really important and we have a ha-ha moment and we don't want to let it go. So sort of a trick I've learned is I have a piece of paper with a pen and I quickly write down the key word that would trigger the memory of what it was or what I feel I need to do. And since it's there for me to refer to after the meditation, I'm able to let it go in peace. Sort of a help to let it go. And sometimes we have important things that we can't forget and we just write it down because it comes up in our meditation. The wisdom pops up sometimes and you quickly write it down. Or you put the memo record button on our phone and you quickly talk into the phone and then you let it go. But for most of the time, we learn to let it go. There's nothing about the past that's important enough that we really need, or the future, unless it's really, really important, that we can't let go. What we're doing today, our schedule, is not important. We're here to relate to God, to relate to our true selves, and to be in the blessing that honestly surrounds us every single day of our lives, every moment of our lives. We're just not able to see it or to feel it. And by learning to be in the quiet, in the silence, in the stillness, and being in that place, we realize that God is in every moment and everything and everywhere. And that everything is an emanation of God. And if we're able to truly live from that place and act from that place, then we're truly a holy person. And we're living with as a more divine, as a divine manifestation, as a full Emmanuel. We're sort of God here with us, God's manifestation here. We're sort of growing into that. You know, Emmanuel is the compassionate manifestation of God's presence here with us in the names of God according to my previous teachings. And we learn to grow into that role as we grow in our holiness. And this is how we go about it. So whether you want to do pranayama or not, how you want to do it is up to you and what works for you today. But I suggest once you find a technique you sort of like, stick with it so you can grow stronger and more capable in it. There is not necessarily a better technique than another technique. It's what the technique that's best is the one that works for you. And if you try to master too many techniques at once, you're the master of none of them. Yeah? Now, as you've deepened and you've grown, then you could learn to master many different techniques like I have. But I've already deepened and lived from a different place where it's very easy to master different techniques very quickly because I've mastered one or two as I grew, the ones that worked the best for me, and really learned of them because people taught them, but I knew not to practice them because I would get distracted. Learn many things and yet none of them take you where you need to go because you're scattered. So this practice is for you. This is your practice. This is your time out. So together we'll just do some deep inhales, and it doesn't mean the pranayama. Just take a couple breaths and exhale, be present, and be with God for a while. Try to just let go. Past everything to the openness within ourselves. So let's do this for about 20 minutes. If you need to stretch, feel free to stretch. You can take a glass of water if you're thirsty. But don't do it so much that it breaks your cycle. Only if it distracts you enough that you need to do it. We're not holding postures. We're relaxed, flexible, open. And we try to maintain the space of presence. Okay. So 20 minutes. So together, let's say the name of God that's closest, that speaks the most to you. So together, we're going to say His name a couple times, and then we're going to rest in that blessing and connection. Yahweh, 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 If you have the capacity and you've already worked enough that the name of God's able to completely fill you, and you're able to do this because you have the health and ability and it doesn't drain you, then extend the name and vibration of God to everyone who's listening to this broadcast. So why don't we do that? Just rest in that now. Now we can say traditional prayers of asking for healing, for everyone listening being blessed, for God's presence in this world, for the sick, for the hungry, for peace. Whatever you wish to pray about, now's a good time to add that in now. May God Almighty, El Shaddai, be with us, guide us, bless us. May His Spirit always dwell within us, and may we grow to be ever closer like Him. Amen. Amen. So thank you for joining me today. I'd like to encourage you all to continue to practice during the week. It gets easier if you do this 4 or 5 times a week, you really quickly, it's just easy. 20 minutes can be very effortless and very beautiful without much struggle. But it takes a while to train our minds to become calm and to train ourselves to be able to sit without looking at our iPhones or being distracted. So I like to welcome people who feel so called to go out into nature, into a park or somewhere calm, putting the phone on airplane mode and just listening to the calm. It will help our minds, our emotions, and our bodies to relax. It's deeply healing, and it will allow us to sort of reset for the week to come and permit any practice we do to also become easier. It's sort of being on the upward cycle of openness by bringing in different elements to sustain sort of our goal of letting go and deeper connection. So my friends, thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to being with you all next week. Bye-bye.